The history of London started 2,000 years ago when the Romans settled here on the north bank of the Thames in the area we now know as the City of London. And they chose this site because the river was narrow enough to build a bridge across to the south bank and connect with the roads to Chichester, to Dover and to Canterbury.
They protected the city with walls that stretched from the Fleet River in the west to Tower Hill in the east, and it remained the centre of administration for the Romans until they departed at the beginning of the 5th century. Over the next millennium, the area grew into a major trading city, commercial, wealth-attracting, the establishment of the Palace of Westminster to the west, thus setting up the polarity between state and commerce that exists to this day.
The medieval City of London was contained within the ancient Roman walls. It was densely packed with narrow streets and timber houses.
The disastrous Great Fire in 1666 destroyed some 80% of the city. And although King Charles II and others like Christopher Wren wanted to rebuild with a Renaissance plan of wide streets and vistas, the merchants wanted to get back to business as soon as possible. So, the city was rebuilt on the old plan.
The fire also led to the setting up of the London Building Act, which decreed that all new housing should be built of brick and to a standard design, which formed the basis of London streets for the next 200 years.
Georgian London spread westwards as developers and estates built planned streets and squares in places like St. James and Mayfair in the 19th century. London's population grew to 4 million people. The greatest city in the world and the centre of British Empire. It was a city of fine public buildings, grand houses, as well as horrific slums where existing suburban settlements grew until they formed a large and untidy metropolis. In the 20th century, grew by spreading outwards, with the growth of suburbs. By the beginning of World War II, the population totaled 8,500,000 people. The Abercrombie plan for post-war blitz damaged London, decanting citizens to new towns in the home counties. That the population fell and continued to do so until 1988, when the capital began to grow as a global financial centre and there was increase in immigration.
But people are still worried about immigration. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think we're getting too many people coming in, definitely. And I think a lot of the people now who are unemployed start to feel bitter about other people coming in and getting jobs. I know that for a fact. And I think there's a fear as well that, you know, say one day England won't be English people here. It'll be all foreigners.
Today, London's population is about 8.6 million people, about the same number it was in 1939. But by 2036, we expect that number to have grown to closer to 11 million people.
I believe it's a measure of the greatness of this country, that we are simply not going to let it hold us back or slow us down, and we're certainly not going to let it get us down, not for a moment, because even in the darkest moments, we can see the bright future ahead.